It's 5 p.m. across India. I am Tanvi Taneja. Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Global. We'll bring you the day's big stories from across India and the world. With me today from London is my colleague, Ollie Barrett. Good afternoon, Ollie.
Good afternoon, Tanvi. It's 11:30 here in London, 12:30 across Central Europe, coming up in the next 30 minutes. Fresh EU sanctions on Moscow, Germany and Georgia sign an asylum deal, and a volcano erupts in Iceland. First
Israel pounds Gaza while Yemen-backed Houthis group vows more Red Sea attacks as US announces multinational protection force for freedom of navigation in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden. European Union adopts 12th package of sanctions against Russia that includes the long-awaited ban on diamonds. Russia, unperturbed, says will find ways around them. Rescue operation underway after a 6.2 magnitude earthquake kills 118 people in northwest China. And the International Monetary Fund affirms India's strong economic resilience and growth amid global challenges, praises India's central bank's proactive monetary policy actions. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, who is in Bahrain visiting the U.S. Navy's headquarters, has announced the creation of a multinational operation to safeguard commerce in the Red Sea. Participating countries include the United Kingdom, Bahrain, Canada, France, Italy, the Netherlands, Norway, Seychelles, and Spain.
All countries have the right to move freely and lawfully in international waters. But that foundational global right is under new threat today from the totally unacceptable attacks on merchant vessels by the Houthis in Yemen. So this morning, we've launched Operation Prosperity Guardian. That operation is bringing together more than a dozen countries from around the world to conduct joint patrols in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden.
U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin met the King of Bahrain, Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa, during his visit to the country. The meeting comes as the Israel-Hamas conflict has spread to the Red Sea, where Yemen's Houthi group has been attacking vessels with missiles and drones. Earlier, Lloyd Austin also announced the creation of a multinational naval operation to protect commerce in the area. It is being dubbed as Operation Prosperity Guardian. Meanwhile, U.S. fertilizer company Mosaic on Monday rerouted a couple of U.S.-bound fertilizer shipments around the Cape of Good Hope rather than through the Red Sea amid the Houthi terrorist attacks on ships in the region. Yemen's Houthi movement attacked 2 commercial ships in the Red Sea with naval drones on Monday. The Houthis say they have been attacking vessels in the Red Sea with links to Israel in protest against its military offensive against Hamas in Gaza and have warned against sailing towards the area, prompting company shipments to be rerouted. Oil prices are showing fresh gains after 7 weeks of declines amid pressure on the trade in view of these increased attacks on vessels in the sea zone. Global crude oil rose nearly 2% on Monday as investors worried about disruptions to maritime trade and supply costs after the Iran-aligned Yemeni Houthi militant group attacked ships in the Red Sea. Oil prices were higher on Tuesday, with the international benchmark Brent crude trading 9 cents higher at a little over $78 a barrel. It's day 74th of the Israel-Hamas conflict today. On your screen is the 1-minute video message posted by Hamas terrorists on Monday showing 3 elderly Israeli hostages pleading for their release. An old man seated in the middle of 2 others around the same age described their harsh living conditions. He said, "Our generation built the foundation for the creation of Israel and started the Israeli Defense Force military, and thus he urged the government not to leave them abandoned." The Israeli military condemned this video released by Hamas, describing it as a criminal, terrorist one.
Past Jar is a criminal terror video. It testifies to Hamas' cruelty towards innocent, very elderly civilians who are in need of medical care. The world must act in order to deliver medical aid and check on the state of the hostages. We are morally obliged to do every and all the efforts in order to bring the hostages back home. Our heart is with all hostages and their families.
French Foreign Minister Catherine Colonna has asserted to take action against the Houthi rebel attacks in the Red Sea. The French Foreign Minister said her country will take appropriate measures along with partners to put an end to Houthi attacks in the Red Sea. Colonna met her British counterpart David Cameron in Paris for a wide range of discussions, including the Israel-Hamas conflict. Now on to the Russia-Ukraine conflict that just doesn't seem to end. The European Union imposed fresh sanctions on Moscow, targeting their high-value sectors of the Russian economy, including that of diamonds. Now, Ukraine economy heads for a tough 2024 as Western aid concerns grow. My colleague Ollie Barrett is in London. He gives us more on this and other stories making headlines around the world. Ollie, does Russia seem worried with these new set of sanctions?
Well, Tanvi, Russia is insisting that it will find ways around these new EU sanctions. The new measures include a long-awaited ban on diamonds. Starting on the 1st of January, the bloc's 27 member states will no longer be allowed to buy natural and synthetic diamonds that come directly from Russia unless they are meant for industrial purposes. Belgium, which is the main entry point for Russian diamonds, will use a blockchain-based traceability system to identify and verify the origin of imported diamonds. Meanwhile, Russian Prime Minister Mikhail Mishustin is in China for talks on energy. Mishustin has met with the Chinese Premier Li Qiang in Beijing as part of his two-day visit, and also is expected to meet President Xi Jinping. Beijing is keen to expand energy cooperation with Russia along all stages of production. Time is running out for US lawmakers to clinch a border security deal, which is needed to unlock more funding for Ukraine before Congress breaks for the holidays. Senators remain deadlocked as hardline Republicans demand immigration reform before they open the financial spigots. DD India's Tony Waterman reports.
Talks ramped up on Monday after a small bipartisan group of senators and White House representatives worked through the weekend trying to hammer out this deal to replenish $110 billion in military aid to U.S. allies. But lawmakers have not yet been able to agree on a framework. The aid money itself is not really the issue here. There is broad bipartisan support for the $60 billion that would go to Ukraine and the $14 billion that would go to Israel to help them in their respective war efforts. But that money is being held up by Republicans who say their vote hinges on U.S. immigration reform. They want tougher rules put in place to help limit migration flows after a record number of border crossings in the past couple of years. Some Senate Republicans have suggested migrants prove they were denied asylum in at least one other country along their route to the U.S. Others want to raise the bar for migrants to prove their lives were in danger in their home countries. These are non-starters for many Democrats, although President Joe Biden has said he's willing to make significant compromises on the border in order to get this deal done. Any agreement, though, would have to pass both chambers of Congress, and the House has already gone home for the holidays, meaning it will take a Christmas miracle to get this deal done before next year. Tony Waterman in Austin, Texas, reporting for DD India.
Germany and Georgia, meanwhile, have signed a new agreement which makes it easier for Georgians seeking asylum in Germany to be deported. The agreement contains a commitment to combat illegal migration with an emphasis on enhanced cooperation to facilitate the readmission and reintegration of Georgian citizens who violate the visa-free travel regulations. The decision follows Germany's declaration of Georgia as a safe country. South Korea, Japan and the United States have activated a real-time data sharing system for North Korean missile warnings as the three countries seek to bolster security cooperation against the nuclear-armed North.
Today's collaborative achievements are expected to usher in a new era of security cooperation among the three countries. The involvement of the United States missile defense is irrelevant. I want to clarify that missile alert information sharing involves a mutual exchange of agreed upon information regarding missiles launched by North Korea.
South Korea started joint special operation exercises with the US on Tuesday amid high tensions on the Korean peninsula. The drills took place at various war school training sites in the country, and they'll continue for the next 2 weeks. DD India's Andrew Wood reports from Hong Kong.
South Korean Special Forces are working with members of the Green Berets from America, other special forces, in order to learn more, apparently, about urban conflict. What it's like working inside, basically a city, trying to fight within a city or a town, and learning those techniques. Of course, it's very tempting to think that this has been suddenly announced in reaction to what North Korea has been doing over the past 36 hours, namely launching ballistic missiles, test firing them, and so on. But I suspect that this was planned many, many weeks, even months in advance, and that it may have been that they just didn't want, that they weren't going to announce it publicly, that it would have happened anyway. But because of North Korea's launches of these missiles, that it decided it would be a good idea perhaps to publicize it, to show how America and South Korea are working together and are allies and support each other. I don't think there's anything that can stop North Korea from continuing with missile launches other than problems within North Korea, if Kim Jong-un suddenly decides that it's not a good idea to test them anymore. The point is with ballistic missiles and rockets is they're very, very complicated. You need to test them a lot in order to have confidence that they're going to work. And it's a mixed, there's a mixed blessing if North Korea launches a ballistic missile. On the one hand, the more missiles it launches, the more it learns about how reliable they are and what problems they might have. On the other hand, though, every time that North Korea launches a ballistic missile, that means it's got one less ballistic missile that it could launch if things turned nasty. That's one less ballistic missile it could launch, perhaps with some form of nuclear warhead or other warhead on the top. And don't forget, these latest Hwasong 14 make or mark of missiles are said to be, according to North Korea, able to fly 15,000 kilometers, which means they could quite easily reach Washington in the United States or New York.
An earthquake of 6.2 magnitude has hit northwest China around midnight local time on Tuesday, killing at least 118 people, more than that now we understand from local officials, and injuring several hundred more as well. Several military, police and working groups are engaged in rescue work to free trapped residents. Thousands of homes have been damaged. Power and communication lines have been disrupted as well due to the earthquake. China's finance ministry has allocated $28 million in natural disaster relief funds.
Now a total of 19 medical rescue teams at provincial, prefecture and county levels have arrived in the region to carry out medical treatment operations, consisting of 386 members and 99 ambulances. The provincial infection prevention and control team has arrived in the affected area and is ready to conduct epidemic prevention work.
One village was half buried in mud and silt after the earthquake triggered a landslide covering homes and trapping residents. Authorities have mobilized a number of emergency responses to rescue people who remain trapped. Next to Iceland, where a volcano has erupted in the southwest of the country, spewing lava and smoke across a wide area. This after weeks of intense earthquake activity. Around 4,000 people have been evacuated from the fishing town of Grindavik earlier this month after the continuous seismic activity. National police have been put on alert, and the country's civil defence has warned locals to stay away from the area. In Australia, a huge bushfire continues to burn out of control in the northwest of the country. The rising heat from the intense bushfires has created massive smoke-infused thunderstorms. The smoke has drifted hundreds of kilometres south, covering an area almost the size of Greater London. Residents nearby have been advised to evacuate immediately. That's it from me here in London for today. Tanvi, back to you in the studio.
Thank you very much, Ollie. Ollie Barrett joining us from London. You're watching DD India Global, still to come in the bulletin. Defence, National and State Disaster Response Force teams join hands in relief efforts in the South Indian state of Tamil Nadu after heavy rainfall and flooding in the state. And Hyundai Motor plans to sell its plant in Russia for a nominal $78, making it the latest global automaker to sell Russian assets since the outbreak of the conflict in Ukraine.
Wherever news breaks, whatever it takes.
Connecting corners, cutting across continents.
Stories that matter from across the globe.
Accurate, authentic journalism that serves you right. From politics to glamour, from sports to world affairs. With a fusion of aesthetics and substance. Introducing news in a new avatar. Experience the world through a new lens. Stay tuned to DD India for an exciting journey beyond borders.
India that invents. India that innovates. India that excites. India that invites. Land of possibility. Teeming with opportunities. Watch India Ideas each Thursday, 8 p.m. only on DD India.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Global. I am Tanvi Taneja. Next, an update from India's south. Heavy rains lashed India's southern state, Tamil Nadu, resulting in waterlogging in several parts of the state. The weather department has predicted heavy to very heavy rainfall over the states of Tamil Nadu and Kerala over the next 2 to 3 days. 3 people have also been killed due to the heavy rainfall. Transport services have been severely impacted, with train, bus and flight services being suspended in the region. Meanwhile, the Indian Air Force, Army and other rescue teams are conducting relief operations in Tamil Nadu due to the unprecedented rains in the last 24 hours. Indian Air Force helicopters are deployed for humanitarian assistance and disaster relief missions. 4 passengers, including a pregnant woman and a baby aged 1.5 years, were winched up and taken safely to Nagpur. DD India's Anbarasan joins us live from Tirunelveli in Tamil Nadu. Anbarasan, which areas are the worst affected and how many people have been evacuated so far?
After the unprecedented rain in the southern districts of Tamil Nadu, particularly Tirunelveli and Tuticorin districts are most affected, and the Tamirabarni River, both the banks and the flood, both banks and the residential areas along with that has been very much affected due to that. And also there is a water has been continuously released from the Manimuttar and Servala dams. Nearly 1 lakh cubic water has been continuously released into that, and behind that there is a Tamrabarni river. We can see that much of water has been flowing towards that. And also there is a rescue and relief measurement as continuously taken place in these two districts. And also particularly Chief Minister M.K. Stalin writes to the Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to deploy more helicopters to the rescue and relief works in these southern districts. And also particularly the Srivaikundam railway express, which has been stranded nearly 800 people in that track, and now they are rescued, and most 300 people are still left in that place. And there is a helicopter from the Indian Air Force has been deployed there, and continuously evacuation works are going on. And also the food and everything is airdropped by the Indian Air Force helicopters. And also the state governor R.N. Ravi also held a review meet with the state and central government officials regarding the relief and rescue works in these 4 districts. And also the government, state government also deployed the senior ministers into these districts to review the rescue and the relief works. And particularly along, I am right now at the Tirunelveli, the most affected city, where the waterlogging is still there, and the water stagnation is in the downwards area still there, and the water also continuously is released via the mortar pumps. And also the state government has given a full works on that, and the central government also given a full assistance, and the Prime Minister, yeah.
All right, Anbarasan, the relief and rescue efforts underway. We'll leave it here. Thank you for those updates. Next, an update on India's economy. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, in a recent report has observed that the Indian economy showed robust growth over the past year, and the macroeconomic factors are quite strong. Following the conclusion of 2023 Article 4th consultation with India, the IMF noted inflation has, on an average, moderated, although it remains volatile. Employment has surpassed pre-pandemic level, while the informal sector continues to dominate. Formalization has progressed. The IMF observed that the financial sector has been resilient, strongest in several years, and largely unaffected by global financial stress in early 2023. Growth is expected to remain strong, supported by macroeconomic and financial stability. The real GDP is projected to grow at 6.3% in fiscal year 2023-24 and fiscal year 2024-25. Headline inflation is expected to gradually decline to the target, although it remains volatile due to food price shocks. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi will interact with the finale participants of Smart India Hackathon today via video conferencing. The event aims to crack complex cases and deal with the increased instances of cybersecurity breaches. The hackathon will take place at 48 nodal centers across the country. Smart India Hackathon is a nationwide initiative to provide students a platform to solve the pressing problems of ministries and departments of the Government of India. This year, the grand finale of Smart India Hackathon is being held from 19th to 23rd of December, where over 12,000 participants and more than 2,500 mentors will take part in this grand finale event. And urging all to join the hackathon program and support the Yuva Shakti, that's the power of the youth, Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted at 9:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time today. I look forward to joining the pioneering innovators at the Smart India Hackathon 2023, a much-awaited program. I'm delighted to learn more about the record innovations our youth are making, whose outcomes will significantly enhance India's progress journey. I strongly urge you to join the program and support our youth, wrote the Prime Minister. More updates from India. The Parliament of India saw a ruckus over the issue of a security breach incident a few days ago and the suspension of certain MPs who were disrupting the House. Both houses witnessed adjournments. Members of opposition held protests in front of Mahatma Gandhi statue inside Parliament premises against the suspension. The suspended MPs have been removed for the remainder of the ongoing winter session of Parliament. Speaker of India's lower house of Parliament, Om Birla, met a delegation of Security and Defence Committee of the European Parliament on Tuesday. Taking to social media platform X, the Speaker said the two parties discussed various topics. The Speaker also emphasised that India and Europe share a common worldview based on values of democracy, rule of law and diversity. India's western coastal state of Goa celebrated its 63rd Liberation Day on Tuesday. To mark the occasion, an event was organised in a university in Talegaon, where Chief Minister of Goa, Dr. Pramod Sawant, unfurled the national flag and inspected the parade and march past from students and police contingents. India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi in a tweet said, and I quote him here, "Best wishes on Goa Liberation Day. We remember the valour of all the stalwarts who strengthened the movement to free Goa. Their determination inspires us to always work towards growth and prosperity of Goa." And now we take a look at other stories making news around the world. A group of French lawmakers met on Tuesday to discuss a deal on a contested bill that will toughen France's immigration laws. The government has progressively agreed to water down measures meant to give some migrants residency permits while tightening access to welfare, among other steps. China, in a new statement, has blamed the Philippines for the recent incidents between the vessels from the two nations in the South China Sea. However, their foreign ministry spokesperson Wang Wenbin said that China is willing to engage in dialogue to resolve issues since maritime disputes do not define the relations between the two neighbors. Protesters set a train on fire in Bangladesh on Tuesday. The blaze left at least 4 people dead. The incident comes as the country deals with political chaos amid a nationwide strike called by the opposition to press its demand for the government to resign ahead of an election next month. And South Korea's Hyundai Motor has said it plans to sell its plant in Russia for a nominal $77.67. The sale would result in a $219 million loss for the company. It has been out of operation since the outbreak of the conflict in Ukraine in 2022. Shanghai Disney Resort will open its first Zootopia-themed attraction. The 2016 film is one of the highest-grossing imported animated films ever released in the country. This will be the 8th themed area at the Shanghai Disney Resort. So that's all in this edition of DD India Global. Do join us for another edition of the show at 7:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time. You can connect with us on Facebook, X, formerly Twitter, and Instagram at DD India Live. You can also find us online at ddindia.co.in. We will be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I am Tanvi Taneja. From my entire team in New Delhi, thank you for watching. Namaskar.